Hello everybody, welcome to another fun-filled night at Spirit Connections Studios, 807 Studios I guess it's called. I am Tiffany Rice and I want to say welcome. We have a very entertaining show tonight, some big announcements. How's everyone doing? Is everybody alive in the chat room? Hopefully they are. Let's get some questions rolling in. But I just want to go over a couple things first. Tomorrow I have my guided meditation class. It's just going to be a really quick 6:30 to 7:30 class over at the center at Forge Pond in East Bridgewater. Come get guided and get the chakras aligned and relax. That's what's going to happen tomorrow night. It's $20 per person. And let's see. Oh, intimate gallery reading, September 22nd at the center at Forge Pond in East Bridgewater. I'm going to be doing that from 6:30 to 8:30. I'm not sure if I mentioned the guided meditation, that's 6:30 to 7:30. The intimate gallery is 6:30 to 8:30, and the cost is $35. I'm only having 15 people in, so space is limited. Definitely email me at tiffcat3@gmail.com. Also, check out the event September 25th in Fairhaven. It's the South Coast Paranormal and Psychic Fair. I'm going to be there doing a little presentation early in the morning. I believe it's from 11 to 7, so I'll be doing a presentation at 11:30 talking about spirit connections and everything that's good. So definitely come and check it out. Check us out. There's going to be a ton of people out there that you'd want to meet. And big event news, November 5th at, once again, the Center at Forge Pond in East Bridgewater. We're going to have a Spirit Connections event from 11 to 7. I'm going to have everyone that's been on my show, mostly everybody that's been on my show. We're going to be doing some readings, we're going to have some presentations, and Andy, who is my guest, Andrew Lake, how are you?
Doing just well.
Excellent. You're going to be there doing your presentation on...
ghost hunting.
And I brought Andy. Should I call you Andy or Andrew? What do you prefer?
Whatever you're
I always call you Andy because I'm very...
Andy's fine. My friends call me Andy.
Okay, then I'll call you Andy. Andy came by the studios to bring us his new book that came out today.
Yes.
It's dropped
Special
on the
release.
shelf. Yep. It's called Ghosthunting Southern New England. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'll hold it up to the screen so you can. There you go. Definitely go and check this book out. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Well, it's part of the Haunted Road Trip series,
Okay.
Heresy Press. The editor is John Kachuba, and John had a brilliant idea a few years back to come up with a guidebook to haunted locations that the public can visit and do something other than go there because it's haunted, meaning it's a hotel, a B&B, a restaurant, a museum, some place you go for another reason, but also it's haunted.
Excellent. So is this kind of like, I know our friend Jeff Belanger has Weird Massachusetts. Is this kind of a book like that, or is it...
Well, no, it's whereas the Weird series are all things weird. This covers just haunted.
So
haunted
it's all
locations.
haunted. Now, are
Yes.
you considered a researcher or investigator?
Well, I like to think myself as a researcher and investigator. Sure, yeah, that's
Okay.
basically how I got the job. They were looking for somebody to do the Southern New England version of it. And matter of fact, Jeff Belanger, who knows John Kachuba, the editor, they were having a conversation. He said, "I know the guy to do it," and I jumped in and got it done.
So that's crazy. How long, like, did you have to actually go to each location? And
Yes, yeah, that was one of the rules. I had to go to all the locations. I had to do fresh interviews and take the photography as well.
Did you do investigations, or?
There was one case, one place I went to that I did actually get to stay till the wee hours of the morning. That was Ventforth Hall in Lenox, Mass. And we actually had something happen on the investigation. That was with Tom Laughlin of Chicopee Paranormal, great group of guys, and Ventforth Hall, what a beautiful house from the Gilded Age, and haunted.
That's excellent. I've noticed in this book, not only are the words slightly big, which is a bonus for me, I'm blind as a bat, and also there's a lot of pictures,
Yes.
which I always think it's good to have pictures in books because then you can relate to it. Actually, we already have a question in the chat room. The question is, where do you investigate?
Where do I investigate?
Now, we'll just talk about the book, I guess, as far as...
Right. Oh, in
Okay.
Mass.
Oh, in Mass.
Or where... Where have I investigated in Mass? I've investigated this 6 hauntings in Rehoboth that are well known. I even did a little documentary on it. I go to Rehoboth quite often. Been to, of course, Freetown, the Lizzie Borden House, the Fearing Tavern. Very lucky to be part of the.
And where's the Fearing Tavern?
In Wareham.
In Wareham?
Yep.
Okay.
And matter of fact, we'll be doing an event there October 15th for anybody interested in doing a little ghost hunting themselves.
Tim Weisberg.
Tim Weisberg's
who was
putting
on
that
the
together.
show,
Yep.
and Jeff Belanger.
Yep, and I'll be there as well. But a terrific piece of history. And
what is that? October 15th.
October 15th. Yep. Also, let's see, I've investigated the Victorian in Gardner, which is a very popular haunted location. The couple who bought that house did never believe in ghosts until they found they bought one of the most haunted houses in Mass.
What did they do? Let me ask you this though, sorry, because I tend to interrupt.
No, that's okay. No big deal.
But my question is, do people contact you or?
Well, it was funny about the Victorian because fans of ghost hunters, Taps, will know that they investigated that place a while back. Thomas D'Agostino even wrote about it in his book Haunted Massachusetts with the last owner. Same thing, didn't believe in ghosts, became fascinated with it. So while I was out on the road doing research for this book, I was near Gardner and I was with a friend of mine. I said, hey, just for the heck of it, let's stop by the Victorian in Gardner.
Yeah.
And when Edwin Gonzalez, the current owner of the house, answered the door, he was wondering who my friend Jim and I were salesmen or what.
So obviously wants me to hold it, yeah.
But he had just had, the other night, he had had his first encounter with a ghost in his life. Knocked him right off a chair.
Really?
So when I explained to him why he was at the door, he was like, well, I've heard this is a haunted location through, other people and other writings and so on and so forth. And he was like, we've just been recently hearing this too. Are you trying to tell me this place is haunted? And I then explained to him that, yes, you probably bought one of the most haunted locations in Mass.
Oh my God.
And he then opened up and told me, well, can I tell you what happened to me the other night? Because I think I saw one of the ghosts. And he had told me this story, and I said, well, it's funny. It sounds like you're describing one of the people that we know that died in this house. And now here we stand today, nearly a year later, and they're now going to be opening their house to the public for tours. I believe they have their own website, the Haunted Victorian.
Okay.
And I mentioned in the book, Edwin was, please do mention it, because we do, it's changed our lives, and we now want everybody to come in and experience not only this beautiful Victorian mansion, but the fact that it is haunted as heck.
Oh. See, I love it. I love. It's funny because, as you know, I do a lot of ghost hunting with spies. I repeat it all the time. South Shore Paranormal Investigators, East Coast Society. It's a long one.
Yeah.
But I just always like to talk to other paranormal investigators and researchers too, because you guys are such like a plethora of knowledge as far as how you get your cases and what you go through to actually get to that point. So I love that. We actually have a couple more.
Oh, sure.
We're pretty busy tonight, which I like. Actually, someone in our chat room had mentioned that you did go to the Middleborough Masonic Lodge.
Yes, I did. I was invited by Carlston Woods, asked me to come along in that. And Mike Markowitz was there. Shout out to EVP Mike. And that was a very interesting investigation, especially with Mike's EVPs. Some of them were absolutely jaw-dropping. We also had an object physically move across the floor.
Is this in there?
No, because that's not a public place. It was a Masonic lodge. The cover does have a Masonic lodge on it, but that one can be visited. That's the Hope Mansion in North Adams. But this is a Masonic temple strictly. And the caretaker, a young girl that lives there, was having these experiences. So Carlson brought us in, and it was a very interesting investigation.
More questions.
Yeah.
This is great, though. I like it. Question from the chat room. Have you ever seen a spirit during an investigation?
My first ghost was an apartment I lived in. It was one of the ghosts that haunted it.
So it was one that you didn't...
No, it wasn't even an investigation. I was like, how did I luck into this? I had 2 friendly ghosts haunting this old house I lived in Situate, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
It was terrific. But as far as investigations, yes, I have not seen full-blown apparitions.
I was just going to ask you, have you seen...
But quick story, Matt Moniz and I, investigating a house in Acushnet, Mass.
From Spooky South Coast?
Yes, from Spooky South Coast. We were asked by the owners to come in because the activity had picked up. The young child had just learned to speak and was talking about a man on the 2nd floor. Matt and I staked out the house that night, and both of us at around 1:30 in the morning witnessed this strange, almost basketball-sized distortion just walk right through the room.
Was it black? Was it
white?
No,
it was. In other words, it was almost like a heat mirage, but in the middle of the room, it was like distorting the light around it. And Matt and I, sitting at two different angles, both saw it and reacted at the same time, describing the same object, going right to it. So I've seen spook lights or will-o'-the-wisp, what have you.
Well, we have a lot of questions in the chat room tonight, which I love. Keep them coming, keep it coming. So they're kind of all out of order, so just follow it.
Sure.
One thing is, as far as an investigation goes, do you do a power of protection? For instance, when I do, I feel like I have to talk fast to get them all out, but before I do a reading, I always do a power of protection, and for me, it's just meditation.
Do you know, it's funny that you bring this up. This is something that I've just recently, because I investigate so much now. It's something I think I better start taking more seriously, so I don't take something with me when I leave the environment.
Right, and just so not everything, like I had said to you before, sometimes when you turn the light on, everybody feels like they can just come in. So you have to kind of monitor.
That's right.
Because obviously I always deal with white light energies, and energies for your highest grade is good, but then some people might not. So and again, you never know what you're. Especially when you go into like those prisons and stuff like that. You never know. There's a lot of pent up energy there. But definitely, there's all different ways. So if you ever had any questions as far as a power of protection or whatever, I know so many people do so many different things.
Sure.
But like I do, I always do a meditation. But I always feel like whatever it is that makes you comfortable.
Because I think my only weapon of protection has been being very, very polite and considerate.
Well, I always, you like Tracy always says, you get more with sugar than you, honey than you do with vinegar.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
I think.
Yeah.
Another question. This is kind of, I guess, a big answer. What made you write the book?
Just the opportunity. It was there. I was researching an idea for a book on a town in Rhode Island that I'm fascinated with. And Jeff Belanger was having this conversation with the editor, and the book opportunity was there. It wasn't something I had to propose. It was their idea. They're already marketing it. They're already selling it. They just needed the writer, and it was like, you have an opportunity sat in your lap like that. You take it, you go with it.
Right.
Yeah, it was a year of hard work, but it was also fun in a lot of cases.
Well, it's your passion. It's what you do.
Exactly.
So, of course, it's not going to be work.
I wasn't writing about the history of typewriters. That
right,
would have been
exactly.
difficult. No, this was something I could really get into. So, to answer that question, I was just in the right place at the right time, and got a job that was just something I could do and really do, and I hope I've done well.
Now, do you think this book is okay for maybe young, like the tweens, like the young teenagers?
Yes. I mean, some of the stories are sad. Some of the deaths that are probably brought about some of these hauntings. But I personally wouldn't go into gore. I wouldn't go into detail, and I don't look for that type of detail. I mean, when it comes time to talk about death and passing, I just tried to get to the point who it is passed and is believed to be haunting. There was no sense to make someone's death morbid.
Gory.
Yeah. So I would say it's a good family book.
It is, yeah.
Especially since it's a travel guide. That's the idea. Let's get in the car and get out on the road.
I love those. I love those because how many rainy Sundays do you have? Or, you know, it's good.
But the other great thing about the book is if you have a family member who could care less about ghosts, well, some of the places serve great steaks, so they've got other things to see.
Well, it's kind of funny that we have this question. Someone in the chat room seems to believe that there's a strong male presence with Andy and wants to know if I know who it is. For the record, we went over this before the show.
Yes.
So yes.
Yes.
In the chat room, you are right.
You are not the only person who has seen him.
So exactly. They're here. They're here. So, excellent. Good.
Yeah, we have these things confirmed.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, with the paranormal and psychic community out there.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it. And again, I know I'm going to constantly repeat myself, but Andy will be at the Spirit Connections event November 5th. So you'll be able to, if you don't get it before then, you'll be able to buy his book. How much is the book going for? Do you know?
I believe it's $15.95.
$15.95.
Yeah, something like that. $16.
Somewhere around there. Yeah. So, which is obviously. I mean, I know Maureen's book was same price range. Like it's so affordable, you really can't go wrong, especially with a travel guide.
Yeah.
Come on, and it's going to be fall. Seriously, fall reminds me of Halloween and spooky things.
Yeah, exactly. With 36 locations, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you had to go to every single one of them.
Yep. The only one I actually did not go out onto, because I understand there's something to do with the ferry service, but the Ledge Lighthouse in Connecticut. I'm only familiar with that. It's not a very detailed chapter, but it was one you have to mention the Ledge Lighthouse.
Yeah.
If no one's been to Connecticut looking for ghosts, you've got to let them know about the Ledge Lighthouse. Ron Kolick is investigating the Ledge Lighthouse, and
He has some books out.
Yep, and I've heard EVPs that have been captured there, so I know it's a place that, if they do open up the boat service again to go back out there for tours, it's well worth the trip. Because it's also one of the most beautiful lighthouses you've ever seen. It's considered to be one of the most unique lighthouses in America. It's made to look like a French chateau. It's not your typical lighthouse.
Now, how many states do you cover in this book?
3.
There's 3?
Yep, 3. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut.
Were you asked to do Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont boats? Or?
Clear Sea is looking at that as a possibility in the future.
But maybe a sequel?
Yeah, but they felt that the southern New England is so compact and so easy,
much.
And also it's so easy to get around, and they figured an hour's worth of driving time in this day and age isn't too much. So somebody in Massachusetts who didn't know about a haunting in Connecticut, it's not that far, or Rhode Island and Connecticut or whatever.
Now you primarily, you're from Rhode Island, so
yes.
you have a ton of knowledge and research from Rhode Island.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I like to think so, yeah.
What's the name of your group called?
Greenville Paranormal Research.
And so say if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with you? Do you have a website?
Well, greenvilleparanormal.com. My email is greenvillepr@yahoo.com. So yeah, I'm very easy to get a hold of.
Excellent. So if anybody had a haunting...
Or any input,
yeah.
Criticisms, anything. Any information
that's one
that comes.
I love. Yeah. I love the criticisms.
Well, that's how you learn.
It lights, you learn, and it lights a little
think,
fire.
well, I thought this was it, and then some little old lady comes up to you and says, "I'm with the so-called, historic society. You got that wrong. Let me show you what it's really like." And it's like, yes, please,
That was a good question. Actually, you made me think of a question for you. With each location, did you have to go to the town's historical society? Or?
Well, no, because fortunately, a lot of them being older places with history.
Right.
There was already a history done on it. So whether I was talking to say a docent at a museum or the head manager, they already had that research done for them, and a lot of people were very kind about that. They were like, if you're interested, I'll save you some time. The local historic society printed up this material to help you with the background on the place. And then I would sit with the current staff and management, what it might be, and get the current stories.
Think of all the time invested in that.
So, I mean, as far as Rhode Island, of course, I had been doing a lot of research into the stories of Rhode Island, and some of them in Massachusetts already. But the places that were new to me, places that I was only vaguely familiar with, it would be my first time going there.
Yeah.
A lot of nice people helped me out with the research and background on the ghost stories.
Question, have you ever investigated the Shirley... Forgive me if I pronounce this wrong. Estes House in Dorchester?
No, I haven't. It's one I'm only.
Have you heard of it? Or?
Yeah, I'm only vaguely familiar with it.
Okay.
No, but.
Are you guys saying that you have an inn out there that you want Andy to come and check it out?
Yeah, give us a call. I'm telling you.
I'll go in for the ride.
Boom, it'll probably be about 3 other groups following our link. No.
Yeah, just get in touch.
No, there's so many. I say Southern New England, in my opinion, is one of the most haunted locations in the world. I just met a TV crew from Spain, and they were saying that they are such fans of Southern New England ghost stories that they know more about New England ghost stories than they do ghost stories back in Spain.
Now, of course, I'm going to ask this question.
Right.
Do you work with any mediums?
Yes, I do. I work with my very good friend Pamela Padalano. I met Pamela a few years ago. A friend of mine who's a police officer introduced me to her, and she's a white-collar mother of 5, typical Rhode Island Italian mom. Nothing about her suggested any of this ability. She doesn't live the lifestyle, I guess, I might say. She doesn't wear crushed velvet and amulets all around her, and so on and so forth. But my friend, this police officer of mine, said, no, you've got to meet her. She's legit. And I used to joke with her the first couple of cases we went out on, you're a fraud and I'm going to prove it. Well, by the 3rd investigation, no, I was just absolutely, we got out of the house and got in the car, and before I started the engine, I looked over and said, okay, joke's over, you're 100%, I'm not kidding around with you anymore. Working with Pam has absolutely been fantastic.
So you definitely think it's beneficial having a medium on?
You've got Hans Holzer's book back here.
Yeah.
Hans said something, I'm going to paraphrase him, I'm not going to quote him exact, but he said, if you are a ghost hunter and you don't work with a psychic, you're just some guy walking around with a radiation meter. You know, that's basically
Yeah.
and I do agree with that. And the strange thing is, I run into a lot of people, a lot of ghost hunters, who absolutely poo-poo psychic ability, and I just personally find that very strange.
I find it strange too. I don't know why. Because I always think it's we're all dealing with energy, whether
Yeah.
we're in the paranormal field or doing the medium work, working with crystals, what have you. It's
Right.
still all it's energy, and we're trying to find answers.
That's
trying
right.
to find validation. So why wouldn't you want to enhance your investigation by using a legit medium?
Right.
You know, it's just something that I always thought was funny how some people were. I mean, obviously you have the cold readers that kind of
Right.
ruin
Oh,
it,
sure.
but there's
yeah.
also investigators that aren't that savvy either, you know.
Right.
So you never know. But I definitely think it's great. We have another question coming in. This is good. This is good. Oh, we got two questions. Deanne is on her honeymoon, and Steph, who got married the day after Deanne, is not on a honeymoon. So she decided to spend her honeymoon days at the studios tonight because she
What a
is
trooper.
lucky. Yeah,
What a trooper. Wow. Honeymoon? Nah, I'm gonna go hang out with these guys.
exactly. And
Yeah.
she's going to be doing some more shows with me too. All right, your DVD, Ghost of Rehoboth, and some of the haunts.
Oh.
They want to know about some of the haunts in the
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
oh, okay.
All right. Yeah. No, Rehoboth. Some people feel that Rehoboth is probably the most haunted town in all of Massachusetts. Anybody who knows about the Bridgewater Triangle knows that that's the bottom western corner of the triangle. And I did a half-hour documentary on 6 of the best-known haunts that the public can go to and
Can go
visit.
to. Excellent.
Yeah, it's basically you have the Palmer River Burial Ground in Lake Street.
Okay.
And you have the Village Cemetery off Bay State Road, which is the second cemetery that came from the Palmer River Burial Ground. They moved it at one point in the town's history. Both of those cemeteries are very active. There's the Hornbein School that the Hornbein School Association will tell you, our little school is not haunted, that's a bunch of...
Yeah.
But I just recently had a teenage girl play an EVP for me that she caught outside the Hornbein that absolutely was outstanding. She asked the question, were you a student here? And the voice came back, we all were. And it was an excellent EVP. Of course, there's the red-headed hitchhiker of Route 44.
Right.
Anawan Rock, which I think is the most active haunt in all of Rehoboth. And the Shad Pond Factory, our friend Christopher Balzano has interviewed people.
Content director, Spooky Southcoast?
Yes, he has talked to people who have in fact seen apparitions, phantom fires, and so on and so forth over there. So yeah, Rehoboth, fascinating town, and it's a great town to drive around in, and all these haunts are close to one another. So any fledgling ghost groups out there, go check out Rehoboth. Some great
How
places.
can you get the DVD, actually?
The
Do you sell it?
DVD, you get it by running into me in parking lots asking for a copy.
Or November 5th.
Or
Bring it.
November 5th, yeah. Any of my book signings, I will have copies of it, and it only goes for $10. But did it all by myself, except for a friend of mine, Pat, and his buddy Dave did the music for me. They did a terrific job with the music.
That's
I was
awesome.
absolutely blown away the effort they put in it. But my own little pet project, and people rather like it.
Awesome. Now, I know we just talked about some EVP work
Right.
that you've heard. Have you actually heard a spirit with your own ears
Yes,
without
once,
doing
and it
EVP?
wasn't too long ago. Disembodied voice, a house that I've been investigating for past 2 years in Situate, Rhode Island, North Situate to be exact. I was there with the homeowner. And
Can I just I have a
yeah,
confession. Every
sure.
single time you said Situate, I was thinking it was Mass. And it wasn't until
Well,
just now.
yeah, well, the town was named after Situate, Mass. The people from Situate, Mass moved
This
down
is
there.
a revelation.
Yeah, no,
all along,
yeah.
for years.
The name came from the same location. People who came from Situate, Mass and settled that part of Rhode Island
Okay.
named it Situate. She has at least 5 ghosts haunting the house that we've been able to figure out, and they do spectacularly strange, unusual things, and has turned skeptics into believers, this house. Well, she was telling me she'd hear movement in the attic. Well, the attic doesn't have any floorboards. It just has insulation between the joists. Well, I popped the hatch, and I went up and I fired up my recorder, and I was taking infrared photography, talking to whoever may be up there.
Right.
And the homeowner's down below me in the hatch with her daughter's 2 dogs she was babysitting, and the dogs are sitting there like,
Right.
and I'm saying, who are you? What can we do for you? You know, why do you haunt Anne Marie? What is this all about? And from the other side of the attic, I hear this little voice say something. And I look down, and the dogs are big-eyed, the homeowner's big-eyed, and I go, did that just come from down there? And she goes, no, it came from up there. And she goes, I was hoping it was your stomach rumbling. Well, I got down off the ladder, backed up the recorder, and as we're trying to listen to it, someone is up in the attic tapping. And when we finally find the spot and we play it back, it's a female voice saying, "Please help me out." But we heard it with our own ears. But we were almost in disbelief when we heard it.
Exactly.
It's just. But I can't describe it. It wasn't like a normal acoustic sound reaching your eardrums. It was almost. And the psychic I worked with, who wasn't there at the time, she says, a lot of that, what you heard, Andrew, was psychically, even though it seemed, though it seemed to be, the sense to your ears, it was a psychic message.
Couple questions. First question: what are the exact? I don't even know if you can answer this. If you want to give things away. But what are the exact points of the Bridgewater Triangle? Basically.
Well, Abington.
Oh. I mean, okay, that means, sorry, I was thinking it was like something more than what it was.
No, it is, it's Abington, Rehoboth, and Freetown.
Okay.
Are the points. That's what...
but all the towns inside are part of it.
That's what Coleman coined it. But Lauren Coleman, even he has admitted that, he said, it was just sort of a rough area. And it was crudely a triangle, but even he admits that it probably can be a misshapen triangle. And through Christopher Belzano's research, he believes that it could be some very bizarre shape because it could spread down into northern Rhode Island as far as he's concerned, and it could go more this way and that way. But the basic triangle where the core of the activity is Abington, Rehoboth to Freetown.
Another question. This question is coming in from what we were just talking about with the house in Scituate, Rhode Island.
Right.
All right. Did the spirit from the house ever get crossed over?
No. They haven't. We haven't made an attempt to do that. That's something.
I was going to ask. I know some mediums do it, some don't, so I didn't know.
My small group of people, Greenville Paranormal Research, at this point in time, we will pray for spirits, but we feel, who are we to come into an environment as the Johnny-come-latelys and tell somebody they have to leave? Right. We'll never know fully their reason for being there. So who are we to tell them to go on?
I like that answer.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I did involve one investigation. I was asked to come in. It wasn't my investigation, but I went in. We had 2 Catholic priests, and it was a suicide victim haunting the house. And they did get him to pass on. It's a long story, but it was actually quite a moving investigation. And the homeowners say that all the activity went away. So we do feel that maybe this guy did need that forgiveness for what he did through his own brother and sister-in-law, and he was able to go on. But to make people move along, no, I just don't get into that. I'd rather get more acquainted with them. Last comment about the Scituate with talking to people.
Until the next question.
Her mom passed away the same week my father passed away, and she always said, "I'm going to come back and chase these ghosts out." Well, my psychic medium has talked to her and is in the house. And she's telling us about the ghosts. We're now learning more about the ghosts than we did through any of our psychic research or historic research, and is now telling us exactly who these people are, which is, I mean, the day we had that conversation with somebody on the other side of the veil who knew us, and she was helping us out, it was absolutely amazing.
This question kind of coincides, again, with the Scituate house, or in general. If your group finds spirits that need help, do you help them?
That's just it, if we can. We think the woman who was asking for help, we're piecing together her story, and it looks like she was treated horribly by her husband. And she seems to be concerned about some children she may have lost shortly after birth. Could be. And we're wondering if some of the imagery that Pam has been getting might involve a murder.
Now, another question. They're coming in quick, so I just wanted to make sure I have. Okay, I know. Steph's like, I can't keep up with them, but it's good. Go. I love it.
More questions. Make the show interesting.
I know. All right. Do you know anything about the Stonehenge of America in Salem, New Hampshire?
I know just a little bit about that, and the reason why I have never rushed to go check it out is, one, I've seen the real Stonehenge, and I'm sorry, once you've seen Stonehenge, and some of the rollright stones and everything. But I think it's a fascinating mystery, but the thing that frustrates me about it is we know that location has been messed with at least twice in its history. So what's going on with that site has been messed with by people who own the property. I have no doubts, though, it had Celtic origin, and it had mystical purposes. So some of the stories about maybe balls of light and maybe seeing spirits up there, I wouldn't doubt that at all. But it's not a site that it's top of my list to go investigate.
And can I just say, again, I'm just letting everybody know, I'm with my good friend Andrew Lake. He is author of Ghosthunting Southern New England. He's also a paranormal researcher and investigator. I will mention one thing, because he came over earlier and we were talking, and the entire time you speak with such conviction that I had my eyes just like, I couldn't even speak. I was like, go on, and more, and then what happened? I was just so like in tune. So definitely, if you get a chance to ever meet Andrew, which he again, he'll be at Spirit Connections event November 5th, and obviously you're going to be doing other locations for your book.
Sure. Yeah, just keep an eye on Facebook. I'll let people know where I'm going to be.
It's awesome. So, thank you. But we still have more questions. So
great.
Enough of the compliments. Does he believe the spirit of King Philip has caused his southeastern New England to have an unusual amount of paranormal activity?
Oh, the King Philip's War definitely scarred this part of New England. There's no doubt about it. Rhode Island.
It's a high impact. I mean, it's in Tim's book. It
is. I mean, it's just. Aaron Cashew did his documentary in the Bridgewater Triangle, and he did an awful lot of research in the King Philip's War, and like Christopher Belzano, they believe that war did emotionally scar southern New England. My home state, Rhode Island, I know of 2 locations that are haunted because of the King Philip's War. There's the Nine Men's Misery in Cumberland, Rhode Island, which is mentioned in my book. And there's also the Great Swamp Fight, which was a brutal, horrible battle that took place down in North Kingston. I am investigating a location with my psychic now that is not only haunted by modern-day military people still connected to the debris of their former equipment, but there are Native Americans who perished from the King Philip's battle, the Great Swamp Fight, that retreated from that swamp and died on this property from burns and other wounds. So yeah, I mean, people still claim they hear the screaming of the men who were tortured up at the Nine Men's Misery, and of course, Rehoboth, Anawan Rock. I personally, along with Matt Moniz and Luann Jolie of Whaling City Ghosts, will tell you there is activity, there is pain, there are people who do not have something properly resolved up there. So yeah, the King Philip's War is definitely responsible for many, many hauntings.
Wow. I agree.
Yeah.
I know, after he speaks, I'm like, right on. Like, moving on to the next question. No, but it's and do you touch base on the Bridgewater Triangle at all in your book, or?
Well, I do mention Anawan Rock. I do have a chapter on that, and of course Freetown, the other side of it. So yes, I mean, I couldn't talk about southern New England without mentioning the King Philip's War. Now, my editor lives out in Illinois. He did live in New England for a short period of time, but when I was talking to him about the book, how I was seeing the book and what he wanted from it, I mentioned the King Philip's War, and my editor, without missing a beat, says, "Oh, I know well about that war." He said, "Have you ever read this book? Have you ever read that book?" So even out in Illinois, another ghost hunter, another writer, another researcher, it was moved when he learned about the King Philip's War. And once you find out about it, once you see how brutal human beings were to one another, and the motivations of greed and just trying to own property and territory and authority, it's a shame. Because I think personally, the most tragic thing about the King Philip's War is 100 years later, the colonies would be fighting the same villain for their freedom, and it makes me wish that maybe back then the colonists and the Native Americans could have got together and said, let's kick the Plymouth Authority out. Let's do it now instead of waiting until 1776. Let's do it now in 1675, excuse me. And it's just a tragedy that human beings were used as pawns off of one another, and people were murdered and brutalized. It's just a horrible time in our history.
Well, we have some regulars in the chat room, and Matt and Nick are avid ghost hunters, like to be ghost hunters. Hopefully they come out on November 5th, because I'm sure they'd love to meet you.
Oh, yeah, love to meet you.
But they want to know, Matt wants to know, if you ever got possessed.
No, I have never felt as if somebody was sharing my space with me.
Okay.
I have seen it happen, though, to someone else. So I do believe that it's possible that you can drop your shields and have that sort of thing happen. Most I've had a washboard thrown at me, And through EVPs, I've been told to shut up and go.
Oh, yeah,
So no, possession, I did witness somebody have that happen to them, and actually caught it on video. It can be seen in Christopher Balzano's book, Picture
It's all about plugs.
Yeah,
it's all about plugs
but it
tonight.
did. We actually
so.
caught it was Maureen Wood of the New England Ghost Project.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty spooky.
And I'm sorry because I spoke over you.
Sure.
What's the name of that? Is it a book or a DVD?
Yeah, no, it was. I did the DVD for Chris's book, Picture Yourself Ghost Hunting. It's the Picture Yourself series. So after you read Chris's excellent 101 book on ghost hunting, you can take out the DVD in the back, and Chris takes you through the hands-on of ghost hunting.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know a lot of those ghost shows they touch base on possession.
Right.
Whether
Right.
it's
It is a possibility. I mean, it's not something I dwell on.
Right.
But it can happen.
I've never seen it myself. I've
Yes.
never been a part of that at all. But we do have another question. What if they are not spirits? What if they are dark entities that disguise themselves as lost souls to feed off the medium's energy? Let me read that again. What if they are not spirits? What if they are dark entities that disguise
Non-human.
themselves? Yeah, non-human, exactly.
Yeah, I
as
understand the
lost
question.
souls.
Yeah, my friend Pam on investigations, she has actually said, okay, you've got this going on, you got that going on, and then you have this, and it isn't human. So I know a lot of people go, what do you mean non-human? What is that, a dog?
Right.
What are you talking about non-human? Well, it's been around for a very long time, and it has nothing to do with bipedal Homo sapien DNA.
Right.
It's there for its own purpose. And she personally has never been attacked. We've never been attacked by anything like that. But I did have the luck at the investigation where I was telling about where the Indians had died for the Great Swamp Fight, the Narragansetts had died. That location has pugwudgies on it. And they're non-human. We caught one in a video frame. People can see that at my website. Absolutely phenomenal catch. But I also caught a spirit ball in infrared. You could not see it with your bare eyes, but this ball of light dancing around the woods in front of us. And again, the psychic wasn't my psychic. It was another psychic who was able to make it that night, who actually lived on the property. How helpful is that? She pointed out into the dark and said, there's one of those little pugwudgie things out there right now in front of us. And I used her arm to point the camera. And with the bare eyes, nothing, through the infrared, little ball of light dancing around about 40 feet in front of us. So yes, non-human stuff, it's out there, but fortunately I've never had anything latch onto my ankle
Exactly.
or
I know.
chase me to the car. I don't want to. Again, I try to be respectful when I'm in the environment.
Well, I think that again, it's. I usually have a very, as far as my investigating goes, again, I'm always really nice too.
Yes.
So it turns out
Yes.
to be in my favor. You get a lot of feedback from that. So.
Sure, yeah, you're in their space. You're the visitor, so don't show up and be, I want to see ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you want someone to talk to you like that in real life?
No.
No. Which reminds me, you caught some footage at the Fearing Tavern.
Yes, I did, and that was an incredible catch. And something I was telling you on the phone, something I've learned is a lot of ghost hunters are getting frustrated with the camera that I caught that footage on, and it was a lesson that I learned, a hard lesson I learned. The hard drive cameras are terrific because they can record up to like 20 hours.
Let me ask you one,
Sure.
because I know with ghost hunting there's so many different pieces of equipment. What type of equipment? Was it just a regular camera?
It was. Can I mention brand names?
I guess
Sure.
so.
Okay. Yeah. It was a Sony SR42, and as some of the ghost hunters out there know, probably have caught onto this camera. It's a hard drive that'll hold 20 hours of footage, so it makes a great overnight surveillance camera, or any kind of surveillance camera. The only thing is, I found out, and some other ghost hunters that I've talked to, that if you use the computer program that comes with the camera to download imagery off the camera into your computer, night vision photography gets watered down drastically. So I found that you have to remove that stuff onto a VCR, whether it be a mini DV camera or an old VHS. You will save your imagery better. Getting back to the Fearing Tavern, why I bring this up, because I caught this spectacular, fluttering ball of light come out of a wall and go into a doll sitting on the shelf, an antique doll. And I made the mistake of loading it into the computer, having the camera being new to me, and the ball of light gets watered down. It's not as spectacular as it was. So we had this fantastic catch, and I learned a hard lesson how not to save a fantastic catch. Mike Markowitz, who we've mentioned, the EVP expert, moments before we caught that fluttering ball of light was in the room downstairs.
Mhm.
He caught a classic EVP of a little girl saying, "You want to play dress up?" So we wonder if that ball of energy was the spirit of the little girl.
Exactly.
going
If
to
it's
the
in the doll room,
Yeah,
you
going
know,
to the doll.
hopefully.
But yeah, and an EVP is someone shushing Matt Moniz, we believe. We cannot figure out where this shh came from when it was only 3 of us in the house, and it wasn't me and it wasn't Matt, the woman he was talking to, but someone shushed Matt in that house.
Now I know you have a Facebook page. Do you? I'm not sure if on your Facebook page. Do you have that evidence on your Facebook page,
Right.
or is it on your
Currently, because
Greenville
I
Paranormal?
just well, that's on Greenville Paranormal.
Okay.
My
and can you just repeat that website again?
Yeah, it's greenvilleparanormal.com.
Okay.
Yep. My group's full name is Greenville Paranormal Research, but I dropped the research just because it's less
Right.
typing. But greenvilleparanormal.com. At my Facebook, I just have some simple photographs, some infrared photography, pictures of places I visited for the book. But yeah, my website, anything that I catch that's interesting,
Right.
I put it out there for people to see.
And if obviously if you guys are on Facebook and you're on my regular page, my Tiffany Rice page, oh actually it's on my Spirit Medium page too. I did have a link to both Andy's website and his Facebook. So
Stop by.
yeah, if there's any
Yeah.
issues, you can always
Yeah.
contact me, like I do with all my guests, anyways. But I think we have another question coming in. Steph's feverishly writing away. I swear, this is I love it though. I love it. Where do you get your ghost hunting equipment? Is there a special place? Or?
I'm first of all, foremost, I am not a technical ghost hunter. I'm not into gadgets, but I have collected. This is basically what I use. The camera I was talking about earlier, the SR42, which makes a great night vision surveillance camera to leave in a room running. I've gotten some of the best EVPs I've ever captured on the audio of that camera. I'm also using, from Gotcha Ghost, I'm using a small handheld high-definition video camera.
Is that a website?
Yes, Gotcha Ghost. Yeah, I'm on my website. If you go to the links page, go all the way to the bottom. Gotcha Ghost and Phantom Lights are both there. This can be used as a still camera or it can be used as a video camera. And it shoots from the UV spectrum through the normal light to infrared. And I've already caught some anomalies with the camera, so I'm very happy with it. My favorite piece of ghost hunting equipment is probably my digital recorder. I love hunting for EVPs.
So common,
but-
yet so
But as you
respected, yeah.
as a spirit medium will agree with me, your best piece of ghost hunting equipment is this. It's your body, your senses, what you feel. But I always say to my friend Pam, you're my most valuable piece of ghost hunting equipment because she has been. So your own senses and a psychic, I think, is probably where you really want to focus on, but it doesn't hurt to have a good night vision camera. Infrared is fascinating. Not only have I caught stuff with it, but other people I've talked to have caught some absolutely amazing stuff with it. And of course, don't ever forget about EVP work. You got to do audio work when you're on a haunted location.
Well, it's funny because whether on an investigation or not, when I give readings, some people, so excuse me, but some people ask me if they can use a digital voice recorder to, record the reading.
So they don't forget subtle things you may have said.
But sometimes things pop up during the reading too.
Yeah.
Loved ones.
Yes.
I'm not going to say every reading, but
It can happen.
it can happen.
Sure.
And I love hearing the feedback when that does happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always nerve-wracking though when they say, "Oh, can I record you?" Okay, I guess so. Don't swear, don't say anything dirty.
Well, my audio recorder was worth its weight in gold to write that book because, as I told people, I'd like to record this conversation because I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose anything in the stories they told me. I wanted to be able to quote them directly, not paraphrase them.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions, so I have to
Sure.
kind of get them rolling.
Sure.
Question is, they want me to ask you about the Bigfoot expedition you did with Jeff Belanger and Matt Moniz in Costume Shops.
That was a lot of fun. We had an investigator who had been visiting the Bridgewater Triangle and had found a track. And as Matt Moniz said, whether we believe that this is an actual Bigfoot track or not, we have to look into it. We can't just go, yeah, whatever, and walk away.
Right.
We found aspects of the story very interesting. And Carlson Wood and Jeff Belanger, Matt Moniz, and I went out with my documentary camera, and we went out and covered the area. And we've come to believe that track story, unfortunately, was a was a hoax.
Hoax.
We don't think it was the person who brought the track to us. We think he got set up by a very clever hoaxer. So the joke was on us, but hey, we investigated it. But we did find something very interesting when we went out in the swamp. We found a very tall young sapling, I mean a very tall tree, had been bent completely over into an arch and then woven in between the base of some other trees. And it was still alive and still sprouting leaves. It was bent over into a perfect arch. We tried to do the same thing with Matt and Jeff. I mean, Matt had to pick Jeff up to show that you had to reach up incredibly high to start the bend, and we couldn't do it. We ended up breaking the tree.
Well, let me ask you, do you think it could be environment or?
Well, the reason why we were so fascinated with it is because, as Bigfoot fans will tell you, Bigfoot marks the forest by bending trees into arches and twisting branches up high. So even though this track we believe was a hoax, it was somebody pulling our leg very, very well, very cleverly. We did talk to somebody who lived in the community, an older gentleman, and I said, have you ever heard stories about a man-beast in the area? And he said, oh yeah, people have been talking about that in this area, the Bridgewater Triangle, for many, many years, but a lot of people keep quiet about it because they don't want to be laughed at. So you think about the famous bumper shaker incident in 1977,
Right.
and so on and so forth. Yeah, maybe the track was a fake, but that tree was kind of hard to explain.
Well, grab some water and I'll ask you the other question
Sure,
because your
sure.
throat's probably dry. We have quite a few, so keep them coming. We might end up going a little over too, by the way, just to kind of accommodate everybody's questions. So if you don't mind staying a little extra.
No.
Is there a better version of the ghost box out there?
The ghost box, very controversial. I have a shack hack in my bag. I bring it along. Now, when people ask me about the ghost box, the shack hack, I'm a bit skeptical about the use of them and the theory behind them. However, I have been present when voices have come out of those darn things that was not radio communication. It had that very ethereal EVP voice. Probably the best story that involves me with a ghost box. We were in the Fearing Tavern. Tim Weisberg and Mike Markowitz and I were up in the attic, and we were getting some interesting responses out of the shack hack, and it sounded like we had more than one person talking. So I finally broke my silence and spoke up and said, are we talking to a white man or a red man, knowing the history of the area?
Right.
And I'm trying to think terms of like 17th century, 18th century.
Right.
So I said white man or red man, and within seconds a voice came out and said, black woman. And that house supposedly had a connection to the Underground Railway. And when that came out, I was like, whoa, maybe I shouldn't be so skeptical about the shack hack. And a few other, I won't get into it now, but I've had a few other moments where stuff has come out of those that have maybe gone.
We've used them.
Yeah, and I've been like,
hacks.
maybe there is something to it. Maybe it is another form of EVP, but instead of recording it, it's just letting it go right out the speaker.
Now, Matt and Nick, the young ghost hunters that, again, I hope you guys show up on November 5th. They want to know if there's a certain time of day that is best to contact spirits.
Well, the old cliche is like, what, between midnight and 3, and
I always think it's between 3 and 4.
Really? Okay, well...
That's always the thinnest veil. Medium style. It's the...
I think there has to be something to do with that. The house in Situate, I mentioned a couple of times, I left a camera running there more than once, and you get around about 3 o'clock in the morning, and the tapping and the banging start.
Yeah.
And you can hear the two people live in the house breathing softly in their sleep. So it isn't them moving around. So yeah, there is something about, that...
For some reason,
that quiet
true.
time and what it is. I don't know, maybe because there's less noise, our senses are more aware to the quiet. So anything that breaks the quiet or the void, maybe or is there something about, less solar radiation, or I don't know, but there is something to it. There is something about that hour.
Another question, what is the most active location you've been to, whether it's in the book or just in general?
I would say the two most active places that I've been to, one's in the book, one's not, would be the Sam West House in Acushnet, Mass., which is a private residence.
Is this in the book?
No, that is in the book. The one that I mentioned is in Rhode Island. It is the Tavern on Main in Chepachet. Has a very important connection to Rhode Island history. It was with the site of the Door Rebellion. where Rhode Island has stood up and said, I may not own property, but I should be able to vote, and I voted this guy in. He has to leave as governor, and it went to arms. It actually, the army was called out, the militia was called out, and Thomas Dorr, who rightfully won the election, had to run and was arrested in, I believe, in New York State, served some time in prison, and was eventually let out, but it led to changing voting laws in Rhode Island. Well, being a Stagecoach Tavern with that much history and all the history of people coming in and out of it, they have a little boy who haunts the downstairs dining room, a weeping woman who seems to show up around Valentine's Day, a colonial garb dressed man upstairs, and a more recent haunting. The murder took place in 1973 in the bar. A jealous boyfriend shot his girlfriend to death at the bar.
And this is a public place you can go
yes,
to.
and great food, I might add. Not only is the atmosphere of the building fantastic, but the history of the village is fantastic. The food's great, and diners have actually looked up and seen some of these ghosts walk right through the dining room while they're eating. I mean, that's how spectacular it is. Terrific place.
Wow.
And the whole village is haunted. That's also in the book too. The whole village of Chepachet, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a building.
And that's
with
in
a
Rhode
ghost in it.
Island, folks.
Yeah,
Rhode Island.
right on Route 44 too. There you go. There's the 44 connection.
Another question. Do you believe that when we have earthquakes, spirit activity increases due to tectonic plates shifting?
I've heard this theory. I'm not a geologist. I know some people try to explain away ghosts as well when you have tectonic plates going and it causes this and that. People hallucinate and you'll see this and you'll see that. And then there's other people who are saying, no, you're not hallucinating. The tectonic shift is actually causing the paranormal activity. Could be, I don't know. Then again, I'm still trying to figure out full moons because full moons and new moons seem to have a lot to do with it.
Didn't we have a full moon last night?
Yes.
Yeah. I definitely feel that there's been a lot of energy shifts. I mean,
I have incredible luck around full moons. 3 days before, 3 days after, and on it. I don't know why, but it does happen.
I love that kind of stuff. Wow, I can't believe it. Do we actually have a break in questions? We actually have a break in questions. Oh, we have another one. Wow, we're getting right up to the 10 o'clock mark, too. Are you single?
Yes, I am.
So you can go to...
That's the other website.
But he's also going to be in East Bridgewater November 5th.
Yes.
But maybe you can contact him before.
I think, you know, asking a ghost hunter if he's single is kind of like, yeah, I think Chris Belzano had one of the funniest stories. He had a TV producer get in touch with him, and she was asking him all these questions about what he knew through his research, and then she said, hey, I got a question for you. Do you know any good-looking ghost hunters? Because I guess she was trying to put a show together. And Chris goes, how do you think we become ghost hunters? We're the guys who couldn't get dates on Friday night. I thought that was a great answer.
It's funny, though. It's funny, because Saturday nights when I'm watching Spooky South Coast, you know, and I'm like, I can't wait for the show, and I'm like, oh.
Jeff Belanger at the Hope Mansion sitting around with a bunch of guys in the cellar, and he goes, so it's basically how you spend a Saturday night sitting around with a bunch of dudes in the cellar, hoping a dead girl will talk to you. And they'll look down and went like, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
And he goes, don't worry, we're in the same boat, pal, because we're here with you.
We have another question, too. So Matt, let me just tell you something, Andy. Matt and Nick have been fans of the show, so I don't know if you want to say hi to them.
Matt and Nick, come see us November 5th.
Yeah.
Glad to meet you.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure Andy would love to.
Yeah. I love hanging out with ghost hunters. Believe me.
He said mine. I don't know if you can
My
see
scratchy
it.
chicken.
But and I know you're going to be bringing some of your equipment with you, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
And I asked Andy to do a presentation at the event, so you're going to be able to talk a little bit about your book and again, like,
and some of the cases I've worked on, because I have some great, you know, data or evidence, whatever you want to call it, some terrific pictures and stories to tell about them. So yeah.
Definitely going by. There are young ghost hunters.
Yeah, well, I was 11 years old when I had my first encounter with a ghost. That's what got me started.
See?
Yeah.
It's all around that age.
That's it.
Kids.
And never let go of it.
Well, they want to know if you've ever been scared by a spirit, and if a spirit can sense a human's presence.
Oh, I think so. I think, you know, I mean, there's that term residual and intelligent haunt. I don't really subscribe to that terminology, but let's use that for now. Yes, I do think that some of the locations I've been in, you're definitely known you're there. Things start happening, noises, things move. so on and so forth. Have I ever been scared though? Yeah, I got sketched out one time and ended up catching a spectacular piece of evidence. It felt like somebody was right behind me. And when I spun around, saw nothing with my eyes, but the infrared camera caught what looks like a swirl of like fabric come off the ground and go into a cemetery in front of me. But I was actually getting nerved out looking for the keys to my car. And I realized you're having an anxiety attack. Why? I think it was because something was standing right behind me checking me out like, who are you? And there is a ghost known to walk that stretch of road I was walking. So I kind of wonder if I had an encounter with the Grange Hall ghost.
You probably did.
Yeah.
Again, like I always tell these people too, once you're open to this kind of stuff, whether it's through whatever energy work that you do, you're going to get signs. You're going to get people wanting to communicate with you, you know?
Yeah.
Can spirits feel emotions towards the living? And can a ghost fall in love with someone they have never met? I like to say that that's true.
I would absolutely say that. I was told a story, and I helped out with a student's film, a vampire movie. I played a fledgling vampire it had a great death scene too. But it was this little college film, this little low budget film, and we had a wrap up party when we aired the movie, and we went to this great Italian restaurant in Rhode Island, and we're sitting around, and the couple brought up the Bridgewater Triangle, and and asked me if I'd known about it, told me their own story about Anawan Rock. She told me this fascinating story about her mother when she first had her, or gave birth to her only daughter. She had a ghost in the house that she believed was a teenage boy. They moved to another location. That ghost followed them back to that location. She would hear her daughter talking to him. As the daughter grew up and became a teenager, the ghost became jealous of her dating other boys. She'd bring boys home when mom was around and neck on the couch, and doors would start slamming, things go, and boys would run out of the house. She said at one point, no one would date me because I was the weird girl who had some ghost chasing around. Well, she grows older, has a daughter of her own, and now her daughter's now talking to her. So this kid who committed suicide, they did the research and found out from the original house, and he fell in love with the mother and the daughter and would not leave them, and the mother got remarried. And he just kept going to whatever address they were at. The same exact activity would come about. And if I remember the story correctly, they did bring in a medium who identified the kid and verified that, yeah, he was a young teenager. He got all full of emotions, and he took his own life, and now he's just sort of lost, and he latched onto your energy. So yeah, the kid definitely did fall in love with her daughter as her daughter was growing up, and was there while she has a kid. It's fascinating.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Lily's eyeballs.
We're scaring a dog telling ghost stories.
So, if you missed it, this is Andrew Lake. We are going to be wrapping up tonight's show. I do want to let you guys know you can go to, of course, November 5th, Spirit Connections event. Definitely
will be there.
The Center at Forge Pond in East Bridgewater, right off Route 18. But also, you can go to greenvilleparanormal.com, and that way you can see his footage. You can also check out, go onto YouTube, because I know you've done some work with Fox 25.
Yeah, but that can be found at my website as well.
Oh, it is all on your website?
Yeah, you can find my stuff on YouTube, but there's much more at my site, more EVPs, interesting research. I have a legend tripping page. Places I've been to, I've sort of investigated. But it's like a guide to Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut. Even goes into Pennsylvania and England. I even put some sites up in England.
Excellent.
So any legend trippers looking for places to go, my site's a good source to look.
So definitely check out greenvilleparanormal.com, and also you can check out his Facebook, Andrew Lake.
Andrew Lake on Facebook.
Yep. You can find him through me. Definitely, I'm sure you want to hear some feedback. Go out, get yourself a copy of Ghosthunting Southern New England before it runs out. Once October 1st hits, these books are going to fly off the shelves.
That's right, and you can't have Halloween without the book.
Exactly, and then you can bring it in. I'm sure even if they purchased it before,
he'll sign. Oh, yeah, of course.
He'll sign it. So,
oh, yeah.
I definitely think it's a good idea.
And definitely come with your ghost stories. I love ghost stories.
Yeah. I'm telling you, he'll have you sitting there like, tell me more and more. Yeah. So, again, I want to thank everybody for checking out another fun-filled night at Spirit Connections. Again, if you missed it, I'm having a guided meditation tomorrow night at 6:30 to 7:30 at the Center at Forge Pond in East Bridgewater. I'd love for you guys to come by. Email me. And then my intimate gallery reading is, again, at the Center at Forge Pond, September 22nd. That's next Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30. Again, email me to reserve your spot. So I'd love to see your faces. But until next time, we will see you next Tuesday. Have a good night.
Take care, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another fun-filled night at Spirit Connections Studios, 807 Studios, I guess it's called. I am Tiffany Rice, and I want to say welcome. We have a very entertaining show tonight, some big announcements. How's everyone doing? Is everybody alive in the chat room? Hopefully they are. Let's get some questions rolling in. But I just want to go over a couple things first. Tomorrow I have my guided meditation class. It's just going to be a really quick 6:30 to 7:30 class over at the center at Forge Pond in East Bridgewater. Come get guided and get the chakras aligned and relax. That's what's going to happen tomorrow night. It's $20 per person. And let's see. Oh, intimate gallery reading, September 22nd at the center at Forge Pond in East Bridgewater. I'm going to be doing that from 6:30 to 8:30. I'm not sure if I mentioned the guided meditation. That's 6:30 to 7:30. The intimate gallery is 6:30 to 8:30, and the cost is $35. I'm only having 15 people in, so space is limited. Definitely email me at tiffcat3@gmail.com. Also, check out the event September 25th in Fairhaven. It's the South Coast Paranormal and Psychic Fair. I'm going to be there doing a little presentation early in the morning. I believe it's from 11 to 7, so I'll be doing a presentation.
Stoner. Same thing. Didn't believe in ghosts.
Right.
Became fascinated with it. So while I was out on the road doing
Sorry.
research for this book, I was near Gardner, and I was with a friend of mine. I said, hey, just for the heck of it, let's stop by the Victorian in Gardner.
Yeah.
And when Edwin Gonzalez, the current owner of the house, answered the door, he was wondering who my friend Jim and I were, whether we were salesmen or what.
So obviously wants me to hold it, yeah.
But
so
he had just had, the other night, he had had his first encounter with a ghost in his life. Knocked him right off a chair.
Really?
So when I explained to him why he was at the door, he's like, well, I've heard this is a haunted location through, other people and other writings and so on and so forth. And he was like, we've just been recently hearing this too. Are you trying to tell me this place is haunted? And I then explained to him that, yes, you probably bought one of the most haunted locations in Mass.
my God.
And he then opened up and told me, well, can I tell you what happened to me the other night? Because I think I saw one of the ghosts. And he had told me this story, and I said, well, it's funny. It sounds like you're describing one of the people that we know that died in this house. And now here we stand today, nearly a year later, and they're now going to be opening their house to the public for tours. I believe they have their own website, the Haunted Victorian.
okay.
And I mentioned in the book, Edwin was, please do mention it, because we do, it's changed our lives, and we now want everybody to come in and experience not only this beautiful Victorian mansion, but the fact that it is haunted as heck.
Oh. See, I love it. I
Yeah.
love. It's funny because, as you know, I do a lot of at 11:30, talking about spirit connections and everything that's good. So definitely come and check it out. Check us out. There's going to be a ton of people out there that you'd want to meet. And big event news: November 5th at once again the Center at Forge Pond in East Bridgewater. We're going to have a Spirit Connections event from 11 to 7. I'm going to have everyone that's been on my show, mostly everybody that's been on my show. We're going to be doing some readings, we're going to have some presentations, and Andy, who is my guest, Andrew Lake, how are you?
Doing just well.
Excellent. You're going to be there
Yes, I
doing
will.
your presentation on...
Ghost hunting.
And I brought Andy. Should I call you Andy or Andrew? What do you prefer?
Whatever you're
I always
comfortable
call you Andy because I'm very...
with. Andy's
kinda-
fine. My friends call me Andy.
Okay, then I'll call you Andy. Andy came by the studios to bring us his new book that came out today.
Yes.
It's dropped
Special
on the
release.
shelf. Yep. It's called Ghosthunting Southern New England. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'll hold it up to the screen so you can. There you go. Definitely go and check this book out. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Well, it's part of the Haunted Road Trip series,
Okay.
Heresy Press. The editor is John Kachuba, and John had a brilliant idea a few years back to come up with a guidebook to haunted locations that
Okay.
the public can visit and do something other than go there because it's haunted, meaning it's a hotel, a B&B, a restaurant, a museum, some place you go for another reason, but also it's haunted.
Excellent. So is this kind of like, I know our friend Jeff Belanger has Weird Massachusetts. Is this kind of a book like that, or is it?
Well, no, it's whereas the weird series are all things weird. This covers just haunted.
So
haunted
it's all
locations.
haunted. Now, are
Yes.
you considered a researcher or investigator?
Well, I like to think myself as a researcher and investigator. Sure, yeah,
Okay.
that's basically how I got the job. They were looking for somebody to do the Southern New England version of it. And matter of fact, Jeff Belanger, who knows John Kachuba, the editor, they were having a conversation. He said, "I know the guy to do it," and I jumped in and got it done.
So that's crazy. How long? Like, did you have to actually go to each location? And
Yes, yeah, that was one of the rules. I had to go to all the locations. I had to do fresh interviews and take the photography as well.
did you do investigations or?
There was one case, one place I went to that I did actually get to stay till the wee hours of the morning. That was Ventforth Hall in Lenox, Mass. And we actually had something happen on the investigation. That was with
Really?
Tom Laughlin of Chicopee Paranormal, great group of guys. And Ventforth Hall, what a beautiful house from the Gilded Age and haunted.
That's excellent. I've noticed in this book, not only are the words slightly big, which is a bonus for me. I'm blind as a bat. And also there's a lot of pictures,
Yes.
which I always think it's good to have pictures in books because then you can relate to it. Actually, we already have a question in the chat room. The question is, where do you investigate?
Where do I investigate?
Now, we'll just talk about the book, I guess, as far as...
Right. Oh, in
Okay.
Mass.
In Mass.
Where have I investigated in Mass? I've investigated the 6 hauntings in Rehoboth that are well known. I even did a little documentary on it. I go to Rehoboth quite often. Been to, of course, Freetown, the Lizzie Borden House, the Fearing Tavern. Very lucky to be part of the...
And where's the Fearing Tavern?
In Wareham.
In Wareham?
Yep.
Okay.
And matter of fact, we'll be doing an event there October 15th for anybody interested in doing a little ghost hunting themselves.
Tim Weisberg,
Tim Weisberg's
who was
putting
on
that
the
together.
show,
Yep.
and Jeff Belanger.
Yep, and I'll
Yep.
be there as well, but a terrific piece of history. And
What is that, October 15th?
October 15th, yep. Also, let's see, I've investigated the Victorian in Gardner, which is a very popular haunted location. The couple who bought that house did never believe in ghosts until they found they bought one of the most haunted houses in Mass.
What did they do? Let me ask you this,
Yeah.
though, sorry, because I
Yeah.
tend to interrupt.
No, that's okay. No big deal.
But my question is, do people contact you, or?
Well, it was funny about the Victorian because fans of ghost hunters,
Okay.
Taps, will know that they investigated that place a while back. Thomas D'Agostino even wrote about it in his book Haunted Massachusetts with the last